So I'll call on stage Gaëtan from Singular and Stefan from Cello. Gaëtan and I, we've known each other for quite a while, crossed paths a few times. First time was actually in Sydney for the first B2B Rocks in Sydney back in 2016 or 2017. So he'll tell us all about his life, his previous life with Algolia. Is that correct? And yeah, so please make them feel welcome on stage. Yay!
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Super happy to be here, and thank you for being with us. So just a couple of words on me very briefly. I spent the last 10 years with a company called Algolia. I don't know if you folks know the company. I joined that company as very early as employee number 2. Now the company is about 700 people, 200 million in revenue. And we've been exposed to the importance of customer marketing and the topic that we're going to discuss today, user-led growth. And with me today I have Stefan, CEO and founder of Cello. Stefan, I'll let you introduce yourself.
All right, thanks. I'm Stefan, co-founder of Cello. Cello is a all-in-one referral platform specialized on SaaS. So we basically enable companies out there to incentivize partners and their users to share the product they're anyways using every day, incentivizing them with a percentage of the actual revenue that referral brings in. So, provides value back to the people out there that are actually talking about the products. Second time founder, second ride now. Learned a lot the first time. Sold my first company to Continental. I was in the automotive space, and yeah, crazy enough to do it another time.
Cool. So before we dive in, a couple questions for you guys. Who has invested in customer marketing, advocacy, customer in general in the last 12 months? Great. One person. Who in the room is in marketing? Okay. Who's in sales? All right, cool. So Stefan, you told me this is your second company. You used to be in automotive before. What a jump and a stretch. You sold the company to Continental in 2017. What's the story behind Cello? What led you from that initial company to building Cello?
Yeah. So first of all, I had 3 years at Conti. Was a great time, but I also found out that I'm not really the corporate guy. So I wanted to move out again. Thought about starting something else. Didn't have a great idea, so I learned basically by building the first one what company not to build. It's a very important learning, and I just couldn't find a great model back then. So I just decided to join another SaaS company. Go out of corporate, back into the startup ecosystem, and then during that time I stumbled over what has become Cello, just based on an own pain point. So I wanted to introduce user referrals for the company I was working for. Didn't find anything out there. I think it's like the classic way of founding a company. And then I, after a few interviews and research, I decided to build it myself, to basically release the pain for other founders that might have the same issues.
Okay. So the way you talk about what you do referrals, you put it in the context of user-led growth. But I'd like to hear from you how you define user-led growth. And we've all heard about sales-led growth, product-led growth, marketing-led growth as well. Now there's user-led growth. Can you define for us those few motions, and more specifically the user-led one? Because I have to be honest with you, I didn't know that term 48 hours ago. So
it's good to also you learn something. We see user-led growth as the next evolutionary extension of a go-to-market strategy. It all started with sales-led growth, right? So people were driving around selling whatever type of products. There were also natural evolutions in, for example, sales-led growth, where people were then, out of efficiency, not driving around, but starting to send emails or starting to call people instead of that. We had then the next big evolutionary shift from sales-led to marketing-led growth. Basically, what HubSpot invented with inbound marketing, right? So you more or less create content, attract people. You can also, run ads, attract people. So they're coming to you instead of you are reaching out to them, which is called marketing-led growth. Then since a few years, I mean, PLG is very common now, but a few years back, just a few companies actually did that quite successfully. I think Slack is like one of the examples that pop up every time people talk about PLG. So basically, when the product becomes the major channel of acquiring new customers, right? By having viral growth loops basically inside the product for inviting new people, for example, or creating content that is being inside the product that is being shared with others, user-generated content, for example. And we see that now the time is that there's a next evolutionary shift where the user becomes like the central point of gravity, where the user is providing support when it comes to acquiring customers, but also monetizing customers and retaining them. And we decided to start with user referrals as like the first growth loop in this new strategy to basically productize, right? Like companies were building this growth loop before, especially in B2C. So you might have heard or seen the user referral programs of Dropbox or PayPal, right? So it all started in B2C. It's moving now to B2B. And the reason why we also started in B2B is that without an infrastructure like us, without a middleman like us, it's not actually possible to offer it in B2B, right? So with us, we bring basically this new acquisition channel or growth loop also to B2B. And the reason is that you need to incentivize people, and you don't do that in B2B if you just provide discounts, right? It works for B2C because discounts equals like your own money. It doesn't work in B2B because discounts is something for an employer, but not for you personally. This is just how the world works. With us as an infrastructure, like we're taking care of paying out the users, but also making sure that there is KYC compliance because it falls under money laundering laws if you send money to people. And of course, like tax compliance because we're generating second income streams for all the users out there that are referring those products and getting then kickbacks from successfully referring.
I think I've discovered the value of a customer once my churn was equal to a full quota of one of my reps. Like I used to lead sales at Algolia, and it was all about getting that next customer. Like honestly, once you get the paper signed, don't care, pass it over to CSM. Now it's all about acquiring that new customer. I've realized a few years in how valuable the customer base is for a bunch of reasons. One of them is obviously retention, core. Like when you in board meetings, when if your churn goes above 10%, they destroy you. With churn goes NDR, net dollar retention. So your customer base at some point becomes probably your first source of new revenue. And again, if your customers are not happy, they won't expand. So revenue expansion is also, another thing that makes that customer base a lot valuable. And the one thing I did not necessarily anticipate, and we didn't do really well, was using that base to actually get new customers. And I think that's why you guys decided to focus on this. So even from a marketing standpoint, probably your sales counterpart is asking you for pipeline. Your customer base is definitely a great source of new pipeline, not only expansion pipeline, but also new pipeline. So if it's so great, Stefan, why aren't people doing it?
I think that is the question I hear the most when I start fundraising. I think one of the reasons is like that shift towards PLG, like companies, not a single person inside a company is deciding what software is being purchased, but like software is being adopted bottom up these days, right? That shift happened like a few years back, and that is crucial for something like user referrals because in the end, like let's say marketing software is not being decided by the CEO, it's decided by like the individual marketer in this team. That is a big shift. It's also not that easy to build it because it requires a fintech component. It requires a developer tech component because we're infrastructure, and it requires marketing tech. So it covers basically three different products in a sense. And I think that led to basically that. Plus, money is not free anymore. So we had the ZERP era where zero interest. So people were solving problems by throwing money at them and like running ads. We came back to a normal state where this is just clearly not working anymore. So everyone tries to become more efficient and diversify in terms of their go-to-market. So these are basically tailwinds for us because people start thinking about like better ways to acquire customers. And we see the end of the S-curve for many of the other, let's say, old channels. So they start to stop working the way they did. It becomes more expensive, and that's why it is like a natural evolution of how to think about go-to-market.
Okay. And do you use your own dog food? Do you eat your own dog food?
Yeah,
okay.
Of course.
How does that work?
Works well. So I think we would do something wrong if we wouldn't believe in our own product. We do use our infrastructure for partner referrals, but also for user referrals. It's one of the main resources for acquiring new customers. We see that user referrals works particularly well for PLG type companies. We're not. It's you can't use Cello by like clicking 3 buttons and then it magically works. So it requires a little bit of engineering work, but it's still like one of the most important acquisition channels for us.
How much do you usually see company pay for a referred opportunity?
The interesting part is like you don't pay for leads. You basically give away a percentage of the revenue that is generated. So companies tend to give away like 15 to 25% of the revenue, and then usually cap it at a certain point. This is also the way you market it. So we have companies that are giving out, let's say, 100 for a referral, up to 10,000 for a referral, always tied to revenue.
And maybe more generally, how people think about referral, like do you align it with CAC? Like how, like when you talk to marketing people, do you anchor your product value to their CAC, or how does a typical like CMO think about plugging referral programs as part of their acquisition budget?
Yeah. So the way we do it comes with some benefits. So it's a freemium product. You just start paying us as an infrastructure as soon as you make money with it. Therefore, it's ROI positive at all times. We don't have like the discussions with finance because it's ROI from day one. It doesn't have any payback period. You don't have to invest in it and then wait until you recoup the money. Also because you just pay out your users in case of financial success. So we're hooking into the payment gateways of our customers. Therefore, we can like listen to all the transactions that come in that originated from referrals. And then as soon as the money hits their bank account, we're basically calculating how much the individual referral would get and like charging them and paying out via our infrastructure. And that way, no payback period, ROI positive, LTV CAC 3x plus. These are like the metrics that the people we sell to understand and are actually looking for.
Got it. Okay. So besides user referral, like what other growth loops belong to user-led growth?
Yeah. So you can think about it like whatever you want your user to do to help you grow your business. We see under user referrals that can be incentivizing for reviews, right, on G2, Capterra, like all the platforms out there. Incentivization for references, like I try to close a certain customer. I need a customer reference. Right now there's no real way to incentivize my existing customer base to jump on these like 30-minute reference calls, which are super crucial to my business actually to close these accounts. But it goes even beyond that. When you think about retention, every product has like an aha moment, right? It's like steps the user typically does, and when those steps are done, the retention basically, increases or the churn rate drops. Facebook has like if you invite 5 friends, Slack if you send out, 250 messages. Or every product has basically its own aha moment. So you are engineering your product in a way that users are reaching that moment. What you also can do is like incentivizing people to reach this moment faster. So For example, if you have a mobile app, like make them download the mobile app, make them invite their colleagues, make them do certain steps inside your product that just drive them faster to AHA, which will help you very significantly in terms of retention. Right? These are the growth loops that we see that all work in a way with incentivization. And incentivization doesn't necessarily mean you have to give them money. There are like different ways to incentivize people. But this is how we think about user referrals and like, intrinsic, extrinsic, social incentives to make them help you grow faster.
So you said that you pretty much, if you want to use a product like yours, you don't even need to have a conversation with your CFO. I actually think you do. So I say all the marketers in the room today go back to work this afternoon or tomorrow and want to start using a solution like this one. What would be the 1, 2, 3 main arguments that they should use to convince their head of finance?
Well, everything comes with cost, right? There's nothing that doesn't come with cost. It doesn't come with like financial risks. You don't have to like pay for us in case it doesn't work. There's like monthly contracts, so you can always pull out at any time. It does come with engineering costs, like human capital, because you have to implement it. That is basically the only blocker we have to overcome to make people understand like what's the potential. What is the potential cost? It takes around about like 4 hours of technical implementation effort. So it's rather low barrier, and the upside is pretty high. We have customers like, on average, they acquire 10% of their overall customers via user referrals, right? We have customers up to 40, but 10 is like a number I feel personally comfortable with. And like the downside is pretty little, and this is the conversation we need to have. The more users they have, like the higher the impact also is. There are differences, of course, but also the case studies we're making with our customers clearly shows like a high potential, low downside, and then they just have to find time to actually work on it and prioritize it.
All right. Opening to questions. You guys any questions on the topic? Yeah.
We offer different things like donation to a charity, vouchers for the companies, and this company, maybe they're not as good as yours, was really useful in the fact that they had like a platform to use to send emails out. They work the same way as you. We would only pay them a commission when the customer changed. We didn't feel like we were gaining more customers. We feel like thanks to them, we had like a cadence to send emails out, but that's the only thing that changed in the way we were doing it. And then the issue we had with our customers was mainly the cash, whether it was coming from us or anything. They would be like, we would love to refer you, because we do actually have quite a lot of customers who are happy to refer us, but sometimes it's not the right time, or they just don't think about it like that because they're in construction companies, and they're just not allowed to take cash. And we're like, what else can we? And they couldn't help us. We're like, can you help us finding another way? And well, they were really nice. We were like, okay, we just are gonna continue our way on our own. So for a company like you, me, only two, I would love to have that, because I know my customers refer us. I know we can expand it so much, and that would help so much if someone could help us more.
Yeah, interesting point. Maybe we should have a longer side conversation on that. But we have a lot of customers in the construction industry, so it feels like vertical SaaS is emerging. So like you will see software in every single vertical right now, right? That is currently working with pen and paper still. And especially in vertical SaaS, like people don't know how to buy software, right? They don't know where to look, who to ask, and so on. So what they do is they trust on peers. That's why like personal referrals from people actually you trust is very powerful. We do see that like monetary incentives still work the best if it's allowed. Not sure why it would not be allowed in your case, but there are also other options. Like as I said, you know, there are extrinsic rewards, cash, but also intrinsic or social. Social is like donations, for example. So and you can play around with that. You need to make sure that what you do is compliant. But because, for example, if you don't give out cash, but like an expensive watch or something, it's still, you know, it still falls under tax regulation. So you need to be very careful with something like this. But yeah, in general, like I would not see why it should not work. I think we just need to basically look more fundamental, like what the issue would be with you. And it's not just offering that; it's also really the way how to embed it into your solution and alongside your user journey. How to communicate it, like what's actually the reward, and equally important to the reward is also the discount you give to like whoever is receiving it, right? That should be balanced ideally. If they can't take anything for themselves, they should at least be able to give a discount, because that makes already people. That is also a social reward, right? If you can give someone you trust a discount by like you sending them a link, for example. That is already solving the problem to some extent.
So a discount, but not on our project, on something else?
I need to understand, I think, better like what your product is, but like it would be, typically it's on the product, right? So like, let's say I use Miro. I love using Miro. I tell someone about it that does not know about it. Usually the way it works is I send them a referral link. I get a kickback on the revenue this person might generate for Miro. And they also get a special discount they would not get anywhere else, right? So it helps both the recipient and me as a sender, and of course Miro as a company, because it's the most sustainable way to acquire companies. Like the metrics also behind referred customers are incredible in terms of retention and upsells and so on. So it's like a win-win-win in case you can make it compliant.
Okay, so we have time. We're over, but like one last question, if anyone has one. Okay, go ahead.
Who's your buyer persona from your experience, whether it's more sales, marketing, or customer success?
Yeah, great question. It depends a little bit on the size of the customer. So as soon as our prospects have a growth function, it's typically growth. That starts at like Series A earliest, like rather Series B, C. And some companies just don't have that, then it's marketing. So marketing or growth. And for our second product, where we have infrastructure for partner referrals, it's like the partnerships team, and then they work together.
All right, thank you very much, Stefan. Thank you, everyone, for being with us.
Thanks for moderating.
Thank you so much. And I think, yeah, all of us, what we love the most is like, you know, referral from our own customer, because they always genuine. You know, if they recommend the product, they're really genuine. So thank you so much. Good luck.
Thanks.
And would love to speak to you as well to see how I can unlock more value from my own customers.